So you're getting an apartment. Either you're moving out of the dorms, you're moving out of your parents' house, getting out on your own. It's a great time, isn't it? Thinking about all that freedom. Then something else occurred to you, didn't it? Do you even know how to cook? Do you know anything about food other than chew, swallow, and repeat? Perfect. You came to the right place. In this video, you'll learn everything you need to start out your first kitchen. So, let's get started. Dishes. You'll want plates, bowls, cups for hot and cold beverages, forks, spoons, and knives. Okay, now, you might be thinking, that's a little bit obvious. It's best to start right at the beginning. Now, the next thing you need is cookware. You'll need a stock pot, 6 to 8 quarts, with a lid. And a few smaller pans too. You'll want a strainer as well, and a couple skillets of different sizes, some baking dishes, both oven-safe Pyrex glass, and metal as well. And last but not least, get yourself some oven mitts, or a couple pot holders. Okay, that was good. Now we're going to talk about small utensils you'll need for cooking. Let's start out with measuring cups and spoons. They're always going to come in handy. A meat mallet, a wire whip, tongs, a cutting board. I recommend plastic and not wood. It's just much easier to handle. It's much easier to clean and take care of. Spatulas, ladles. When it comes to spoons, more is better. You really can't go wrong having a lot of spoons. A good vegetable peeler, and a good can opener, because some things only come in cans. Next up, your pantry. Pantry is kind of like, just think of it like a laboratory. It's all the chemicals and things that you need to make that magic, that kitchen alchemy. So let's get started there. I recommend starting with a preloaded spice rack. They can be found in stores or online, usually pretty reasonable prices, and they offer a really wide variety of herbs and spices. So many that some of them you might never even use. If, however, you'd rather just get what you need as needed, then start with the two most widely used seasoning: salt and pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, and paprika, chili powder, cumin, and if you like a little heat, red pepper and ground cayenne should do the trick. Cinnamon and nutmeg, and some basic and very versatile herbs: basil, thyme, and oregano. Now for the rest of your pantry, I recommend starting out with a basic and simple oil: flour and cornstarch, sugar, or whatever sweetener blows your skirt up. I use stevia. Always good to have some vinegar around, as well as baking soda and baking powder, which are not the same thing, but we'll get into that later. And now we come to the last segment: things you don't necessarily need, but are nice to have. Let's start out with a coffee pot. Even if you don't drink coffee, you never know when you'll need some water heated up real quick, or when you'll need to filter something. Next good piece of equipment to have in the kitchen is a blender. Whether we're talking about the standard upright version, or what's called an immersion blender. They both have their good uses. It's nice to have them both around, but if I were only going to have one, I'd have the immersion blender. Another good thing to have is a slow cooker. Good deep fryer is always nice to have. An assortment of containers with lids is also a great thing to have around. You never know when you'll need to store something. You'll never know when you'll need to put something in the freezer. These are relatively inexpensive and they will last you a long time. And last but certainly not least, a good hand mixer. Okay, we've talked about what you need. Now, let's talk about where you can get it. First, the big box retailers, places like Walmart and Target. Pros, their prices are pretty good. Also, their selection. You'll have plenty of choices, and you can get everything you need in one place. Next advantage, online shopping. And for me, this has got to be the biggest advantage. Oftentimes, you can find lower prices on their websites than you can in the stores. You can even do all your shopping online and have it delivered. That's convenience. Cons, not always conveniently located. Since there's comparatively few of them, they might not be somewhere near where you happen to live, and that can make getting there difficult. Now let's talk about dollar stores, places like Family Dollar and Dollar General. Pros, they have prices competitive with the big box retailers, and they even beat them on some things. Another big plus for the dollar stores is their proximity. Dollar stores have recently become the fastest growing sector of U.S. retail, and that kind of growth means you'll be able to find one nearby, often within walking distance, and that's a huge advantage. Cons, their average store size means less variety than the big box retailers, even though their selection is still pretty decent. Also, when it comes to cookware, the quality can get a bit dicey, especially when buying complete sets, which are dirt cheap, but they're also made of thin stamped metal, which can be tricky to work with when you're first learning how to cook. So if you're buying cookware at a dollar store, my advice is to skip the box sets and buy pots and pans individually. It'll cost more, but you get a better quality. And now we come to secondhand shopping. Not just stores like Goodwill or the Salvation Army, but also flea markets, swap meets, yard sales, garage sales. There are even Facebook groups you can join. The list is endless and growing every day. Pros? Their first and biggest plus has got to be the prices. The deals are mind-blowing. You'll beat any retailer, anywhere, anytime. An advantage nearly as big as price is proximity. On a Saturday morning in pretty much any city, town, or residential neighborhood, you couldn't swing a dead cat around over your head without hitting a table someone has set up to sell stuff they don't need anymore. Last but not least, it's fun. Whether you're a frugal bargain hunter, a garrulous people watcher, or just a semi-professional haggler with more time than money, going shopping like this can be a real blast. You can enjoy a little fresh air and exercise, socialize with new people, and work on your negotiating skills all at the same time. Paired with unbeatable prices, who could ask for anything more? Okay, that's everything. You know what you need, and you know where to find it. Easy peasy. Now you're ready to get started. And for any of you who are wondering, a lot of the equipment you saw in the displays, I purchased that at a combination of all three of those different places to shop. And you want to know how I did? I filled all that out for about $100, a little bit less. So you can really save if you just make the effort. That's it for this first episode of RebzBasics. If you found any of this helpful, click like and subscribe, turn on notifications. We're going to have regular content here. In fact, our next episode is going to be all about knives and their use and upkeep. So until next time, see you at Family Meal. That's going to be a little bit creepy.